Hello. I thought I would just start this video because I have been sitting on the sofa for, I want to lie and say half an hour, but literally like 4 hours procrastinating over how I'm going to start this video. And that is just kind of like a summary of the procrastination period that I'm in at the moment. And this happens to me from time to time. And when it does, it makes things really difficult because plant care gets forgotten about, or I just can't quite get the up and go to get on with things. I can often slip into kind of a bit of burnout when this happens, and I don't want to let that happen this time. I want to hold myself accountable in probably a more healthy way and get on and do the things that I know I need to do, but also, what am I saying? Like, also allow myself the space to be able to find joy in them, because I know the joy is there. It's just the getting started is really difficult. So yeah, as I say, I thought I would just literally press record and we can go through some stuff together and hopefully get lots of planty things done today, because it's a little chaotic here and I am not on top currently. But first, if you're new here, you probably think I'm a little bit crazy. Hello, my name's Claire, this is Yuli. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learned over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And yeah, so I think this is probably going to be a holding myself accountable, getting a little bit more on top kind of plant choresy video. And I know I always say, and if you've got stuff to do as well, then feel free to do it along with me. But genuinely, if you've got, it doesn't even have to be plant related. If you've got household stuff, anything that you have been putting off or things you've been struggling to start, let's do it together, because the thought of it helping you really helps me. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So I thought the best way to start today was to start with something that I actually am quite excited to do. And I've brought over my Anthurium pallidiflorum, which is, oh my goodness, giving me the most beautiful growth at the moment and is actually starting to give me a new leaf. Every single time this plant gives me a new leaf, it is sizing up so incredibly. Like when I first got it, which was only at the beginning of this year, it had 2 leaves, I think, and then it gave me that leaf, which as you can see is pretty sizable, and then that one, which is huge, and then this one, which came out a little bit weird and funky at the bottom, but is ginormous. And so I feel like this one is going to be even bigger. And this is a plant that I really am just so desperate to bring out the best potential in. I know I say that about all of my plants, and I want to be doing that for all of them, but this is one that's exciting me. So I feel like this is a good way to kind of get myself back into feeling like I want to tackle other things that maybe aren't exciting me quite so much, or the thought of starting right now just feels a bit overwhelming. And so I want to repot this one. And typically, or sometimes I would say with certain types of plants, don't do that if they are giving you a new leaf. But this one I can just see is getting very, very rooty. I've got a little milkshake cup around the top here, and you can see it's got the most insane aerial roots. And I feel like, seeing as we're just coming into growing season, why not? I'm not going to mess with the root system too much, but I just want to set this one up for greatness, because it is just still, to me, just like an absolute dream plant, and I adore it. And yeah, this feels like the right thing to do to start with. So yeah, I'm going to set myself up at the table and we can go from there. I have just come over and I'm mixing up some soil, and I've just realised my Sansevieria moonshine there is looking really, really, really unhappy. I don't know if you saw it just now when I was filming in the other angle. I haven't noticed quite how bad it's got. And to be honest, that is complete and utter, I was going to say complacence, but I don't actually know if that's the right word. It's ironic because that is probably one of my easiest plants. But I think because it is one of the easiest, it's one that I often go, oh, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. And so I haven't been that vigilant with it, and I haven't been regularly watering it, and I've just thrown water on it at times where actually it needs to drain. So I will take a look at that one next. Because yeah, I mean, it takes quite a lot for a snake plant to go downhill so dramatically. And that one is clearly not happy. The good thing is I do have several propagations of that plant. I've also got another big section of it that I divided from that plant at one point over on my desk. So it's not like I'm going to lose the plant, but I do feel like I should give it a little bit of TLC. And for the Pallidiflorum, I don't think because words, because I potted this one up fairly recently, I don't think I'm going to have to like remove all the soil or anything like that. So I've just basically mixed up more of what it's in, which is tree fern fibre, a little bit of anthurium mixed, some, oh, there goes the coffee machine, just as I throw moss everywhere, some sphagnum moss, some perlite. Yeah, this is just what, as I say, I've got it growing in at the moment, and it seems really happy growing that way. So that is what I'm going to continue with. But as I said at the beginning of this video, I don't want this video to be a big rant, but it has just been, for whatever reason, it has just been these last couple of weeks, I've just really been struggling to kind of start anything. And I absolutely do. This is a very me thing. I know it's something, and I know from speaking to you guys, it is something that a lot of people also struggle with. I often, nowadays, when I have moments like this, start going, oh, is it because I have got ADHD? I'm like, is it just ADHD? Maybe it is. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, what it is, but it's just very, oh, this is properly stuck in there. Very frustrating, because I started this morning off, as I have many mornings recently. Also, my God, look at those roots. I started this morning off really quite positively. I was up really early. I got back to emails. I got on top of quite a lot of stuff that usually I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do it. It's like I've been putting it off for ages. I got on top of, also, by the way, I'm not going to break this root system up, because as I say, I'm really happy with the mix. I'm just going to literally put it in a bigger pot and pack it out a little bit more. I got on top of lots of stuff. I took Yoli out for a really nice long walk. I was really enjoying being outside. It was such a beautiful morning, and the weather, when it is nice at the moment, is just like giving me energy. And I was walking home and I was like, right, okay. I was like, today, I was like, I'm going to get on top. I've got loads of plants I want to water. I've got some repotting I want to do. Like, everything feels so manageable, until suddenly I stepped in the front door and I was suddenly finding every excuse under the sun not to get on and do the really lovely things that I need to do. Like, this is such a lovely, gentle activity that shouldn't, I don't know. It's one that I find hard to explain. So yeah, the things that I find typically help me when I am just procrastinating is trying to come up with a rough plan, or if I can't come up with a plan, just finding, as I said at the beginning, something that I want to start with, and then everything else will kind of follow. And I know when I've spoken about it before in videos, people have said, oh, well, don't feel the need to, like, you shouldn't feel the need to film this, and and I know that, I do absolutely know that, and I would be saying that if it was someone else as well. However, it does really help. It really genuinely helps. Firstly, to be talking through things in a way that I absolutely wouldn't be if it was just me sat here by myself. But also, as I say, to feel like you guys are doing stuff with me. Like, I don't know, it gives me a sense of purpose that I do find really helps. And so, like, sometimes if I'm not making videos, I will, I do all sorts. Like, sometimes I'll listen to podcasts. There's a YouTube channel called Jubilee that has a whole, like, they have these debates between, like one I just watched was like conservative men versus trans men, and like they have all these like very, very interesting conversations that I find fascinating, and I really like having them in the background. But also sometimes there's something about actually like actively engaging in conversations. So sometimes I will call a friend, my mum, chat to Yoli. And yeah, just feeling a little bit active in that sense, and not like all of my attention has to be on one thing, can sometimes help. But it is, I think, it's very easy to get annoyed with yourself. Like, I absolutely do, when
you've got things that you know you need to do, want to do, but you can't quite find the right way to start. And actually, I mean, like, I am the queen of this. Like, I don't talk about it all that much on my YouTube channel because it doesn't always feel relevant. It doesn't always feel like something I even want to share, but like a lot over these last couple of weeks I've uploaded videos that might only be half an hour long, but they actually took me like 2 days to make, and they in theory shouldn't have taken me 2 days to make. Like, I started filming my cactus and succulent video that was the last one that went up before this. I filmed half of it and I was like I was not having the best time filming it. I was zoning out. I was just not in a focused headspace, and I was like, I don't feel like I can actually talk about these plants in a way that I want to when I'm really disengaged. So I stopped filming, and I, instead of like trying to explain, oh, it's a different day, but I just wasn't feeling it, I put on the exact same clothes again the next day, and I was like, cool, I'm just gonna make it look like one continuous video. And I have done that so many times, just because sometimes doing things all in one go doesn't feel that manageable. But yes, right, so that was the first thing done, and that was so easy. So I've repotted my Pallitiflorum. I've just literally gone up like that much, not a massive leap, but just a little bit more root space, so that now as the plant kind of starts to, oh, that's a very loud bike, as it starts to put out a bigger root system, it can kind of expand a little bit more. Because for ages I was told and assumed that anthuriums liked to be root bound, and although they can cope much better than some other types of plants, that they are a bit root bound. A lot of you were saying try them in a bigger pot, it does make a difference, and oh my god, it really does. So yeah, I'm pot sizing up earlier than I think I probably usually would, but it feels like the right decision. Before I come on to the Sansevieria Moonshine over there, also I was going to say I will water this through after I finish filming, but before I come on to that one, on the note of my cactus and succulent video the other day, I've got something really sad to show you, and I honestly can't believe this happened. But I finished filming that video and I left, it's my own fault really, I left all of the cacti and succulents and everything that I've been speaking about in that section just kind of like tucked over in the corner. And the sofa cushion, like, that Yoli is currently asleep on, just there, hello baby girl, it pushes itself forward a lot, and one of my prized succulents was underneath the overhang. Yoli jumped off the sofa and I didn't realise, but it broke the top off. And it's my Euphorbia lactea white ghost, which in that video I was so excitedly saying that, oh my goodness, it's finally growing, it's finally doing something for me. And I just looked down a few hours later and noticed that the top had been completely snapped off, and that's the little bit of new growth. And to be honest, these sections are so small, I'm not entirely sure, especially that new bit at the top, I'm not entirely sure they're gonna propagate. But they have been callousing for about 4 days now, so I'm gonna give it a go. I know I did try propagating the section when I first got it. Actually, this was the rooted bit, and the unrooted bit I did try to propagate and it just rotted away to nothing. And there was significantly more of it than this. So we'll see. We're gonna try and see what happens. So yeah, all I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna use some base mix, which, as I say, is just soil, perlite, orchid bark? No, I lie. Horticultural charcoal, I think. It just looks like that. And I'm just going to mix some sand through with it, just for extra drainage. And then, although I could absolutely propagate them in the same pot, I think I'm going to do different ones just in case they do start to rot, and then I don't have to potentially uproot a section that is rooting. So yeah, I've literally just stuck it down in there. I will again water it after I finish filming and hope that I can get it back and get it to start rooting and growing. The good thing is,
And this is me attempting to put a positive spin on things. But the good thing is now that the top has been lopped off this bit, it will almost without a doubt start to branch. It means that the upward growth structure I was getting before won't be there. And I'm a little bit sad about that because I would have ideally wanted it to kind of get a little bit of height first, but there's not a lot I can do about that now. So yeah, and then I'm just going to do a teeny weeny little pot for this other section. And then hope for the best. Cool. And then something else I want to do, which might not be completely necessary, but it feels like I'm not good at keeping on top of this right now. Emma gave me this gorgeous little Allocation Ninja, which has just given me this beautiful little leaf, and it's in an old film canister at the moment in semi-hydro. And although it's adorable in this, it dries up so quickly, and I've got it in my cabinet, and I lost the mother leaf quite recently, and I do think that that was literally down to the fact that I'd let the reservoir go bone dry, because you need to fill this every couple of days, and especially at the moment when I'm not as on top of things as I would like to be. I think just by giving it a slightly bigger container to grow in, I'm still going to keep it in semi-hydro, but by giving it a bigger container, it means that I don't have to be quite so strict on monitoring it, and it should make my life a little bit easier. And we are all for making our lives easier at the moment. Oh, that reminds me, I will talk through some of the other things that I'm doing to try and make my life with plants a little bit easier in just a moment. I'm just going to grab a slightly bigger container. This, in fact, this little jar is probably, if anything, too big, but what I will do is I'll fill it quite low, and then I can just fill it higher and higher as I need to, as the plant grows. But yeah, what I was going to say, some of the things that I have done in the last couple of weeks to try and make my life a little bit easier, because obviously living with 300 plants, although I do typically find time to look after them all and typically absolutely love it, I think it is just normal to have periods where you don't feel as on top and you don't have as much time and you don't make as much time. So when that happens, there are things that I do to just try and, I was gonna say ease the pain. One of the things that I've done is I have chopped up quite a lot of plants, and I've also put a lot of my humidity loving plants into big prop boxes. In fact, I will bring this thing I want to check on in one of them, and I'll bring that over in a minute so I can actually show you. But I put quite a lot of things into these big transparent boxes because they essentially kind of take care of themselves. It means that I won't have to check on them typically for like months, and then if I want to just dip back into them, if I want to start bringing things out again, I can do that. But if not, it kind of is just like, it's like a terrarium. It's basically like creating a terrarium that you can take things in and out of. And also, what am I doing? And oh, talking of terrariums, I thought that little bottle would be adorable as a little terrarium. So yeah, that's something that I have done. I've got all my cacti and succulents, they're fine. They are drought tolerant as anything. It's fine if they get ignored for a few weeks. As I say, sadly, things like that have become a little bit overlooked. But yeah, another thing that I've said before that I definitely find helps a lot is if you've got certain areas of your collection or certain things that you struggle to keep on top of more than others, then putting things that really excite you in those areas so that you go over to them and check on them. Like for example, my rehab area over there is filled with plants that don't look great. Like they're all struggling with things. Some of them have had pests recently. It can be a little bit overwhelming to keep on top of, and it doesn't look very nice. So I put things like little seedlings that I'm excited about, or like my Philodendron esmeraldense that is technically still classified as like a rehab plant, but I put things over there that I want to go and check on a lot. So that will just kind of continuously take me back to that little area and reminds me that I need to look after them. Also, I've potted that way higher than I meant to, but I think that will be fine. I think that will be fine. Look how adorable it is. I just love that little one. So yeah, that is what I've done in this room. In the bedroom, actually, my bedroom cabinet is pretty much completely empty at the moment, and me and Ross have for a while actually, we've been talking about potentially making essentially a big terrarium. The dream one day at some point is to potentially get some like poison dart frogs or some kind of exotic pet to keep in like a bioactive live terrarium. I don't know if that one would actually be big enough. It might not be that kind to do things that way, but we were just thinking for the time being of just setting it up because it would look amazing. So that is a project that I want to do really soon. I think I need to get on top of all of this stuff first, but it will mean that I'm able to put a lot of stuff into that cabinet and essentially not really worry about it that much, because it will be, so long as humidity is kept very high in there, it's not going to require a huge amount of watering. It's going to be fairly self-sufficient. And creating self-sufficient spaces like that you can look at and enjoy, and if you want to get in there and do planty things you can, but also equally if you don't, then it can just be a little low maintenance space that is quite nice. Because it's funny, isn't it? I think like looking after plants is something that gives me so much energy on the whole. It is the thing I've always said, it's like plant therapy is like my self-care. It's always the thing that I come back to, and when I spend time doing it, I typically, it's amazing for anxiety, like it just makes me feel good. But whenever you're looking after living things on the days, weeks, months, whatever it is, that you can't find the oomph, watching everything around you kind of start to look very unhappy, it just makes you feel awful. It makes you feel absolutely awful. And as I said at the beginning of this video, I don't think I'm quite there. I wouldn't call this burnout as such per se, but I can just feel myself teetering on the edge, and I feel like it could slip into that if I don't help myself up a little bit, even if it's just to get the bare minimum done so that I can come back to it feeling better in, I don't know, a few days, a week, whatever. But let's look at this sad one here and see what needs to be done. The other thing that often happens when I am a little bit like this is I'll like lots of areas of my life will become quite disorganized, and I have got probably like 8 pairs of scissors, because I am like, I put them down and I lose them all the time, so I've got so many pairs of scissors. I also spent like an hour earlier while I was procrastinating about not doing plant care, cleaning the kitchen, and I don't know where any of them have gone, so we're going to be using a knife for this instead. But this is what it's currently looking like. As you can see, this middle section is looking pretty healthy actually, but it's the outer bits that are just dying off. And I want to just get in there and have a quick look at the roots just to see what's going on. As I say, I think probably what's happened is I've allowed it to dry out too much, and then I've watered it without properly, I mean, this pot doesn't have drainage, and although it is porous, it isn't like, it's not like using terracotta, and I suspect potentially there's a bit of root rot. Well, in fact, actually, it's very dry and the root system is very small, but actually it's looking better than I thought. Oh, I was going to say than I thought it was going to. However, the concern is, oh, okay, that one there, I feel like I can just chop away. But the root system actually, oh, for goodness sake, I don't know why this is just focusing on my face. The root system, the main root system, is actually very much attached to the yellow leaf that is about to come off. There's a teeny weeny little one on that second section. Let me cut it off and I can show you properly. So yeah, so this is the part of the plant with the much fuller root system, but that, like, those aren't bouncing back. That's not bouncing back, so I'm not even going to attempt to save that. And then this little section, which is looking much healthier, much happier, but has got next to nothing. So part of me is even thinking, should I just prop this, should I pot it back up or should I put it in the water? I'm not sure.
But yeah, this does look very healthy, which is good. I might actually, just while I'm trying to get it to root a little bit better, allow that root system to fill out a little bit and become a little bit better established, I might just pop it into some sphagnum moss, which is definitely not what I typically go to for snake plants. I wouldn't usually do this, but as I say, that is such a tiny spindly root system. I think it might be quite good at just helping to get it started. I've got a pepper jar here and I'm wondering if this label is gonna come off like nicely in one piece or if it's gonna be annoying. Ooh. Oh my God, if this works, it'll be the most satisfying thing that has happened all day. Oh, dearie me. How are you guys though? I'm so sorry. I know this has been such a waffly start to the video about me going, oh my God, I don't know. I do feel better, I'm not gonna lie. I needed that moan, I needed that vent. So if you're still here, thank you so much for listening. But how are you doing? What's new with you? Let me know down in the comments below. Is there anything exciting going on in your lives? How are you feeling plant care wise at the moment? Are things feeling good? Are they feeling overwhelming? Are your plants doing good things? Yeah, let me know where you're at and what is new with you. I really genuinely do love hearing little updates from you guys. It makes me so happy. Yay! Oh, what a satisfying label removal. Cool. But in classic fashion, I've started doing this and actually already I'm feeling much better. It is just like hopping over that hurdle of actually beginning something in the first place. I think really, in an ideal world, the things that you don't want to do, you should do first thing. And for a while actually, last year, I got into a really good habit of that. But I think sorry, back to me. As I say, clearly just need a rant today. But when you work from home and you work for yourself and you are in control of your own time, as wonderful as that can be in many respects and as amazing as that is, it also means that you need to be so good at holding yourself accountable. And if you're not, or if you do have times where it massively slips, you have, like, I don't know how to put it, you come down on yourself so much harder because you know the consequence, you know that the consequence is only going to affect you. And actually I know in myself that if the consequence of me not doing certain things was going to affect other people, then I'd be really good at doing it. It can just be a little bit tricky. But yeah, I was sitting on the sofa the other day actually, and I was thinking, I was like, okay, what do I need to do plant-wise? And I was really struggling to think of all of the things that I needed to do, but then I was looking at pretty much every single plant, and I was like, I could do things to you, I could do things to you, I could do things to you. And like, honestly, there is pretty much something that at some point needs to be done to almost every plant in my collection at the moment. So I'm like, maybe I should just, I don't know, maybe I should just start with one and just kind of slowly make my way through. Some of them are like really boring things that I don't want to do, like more pest treating and wiping down leaves. And I know it is kind of getting to that time of year, and I need to get some more predatory mite sachets as well, because I have been so bad in the last few months at getting them sorted. I've got to put better measures in place coming into summer. I know I do. So again, another thing on my list. But that is what it's looking like. I actually think that section is going to be absolutely fine. As I say, I will just monitor it very closely. I will probably keep it in the same spot it's been in, to be honest. Like, it has been happy there. I just will be more vigilant in my caring for it. But yeah, right, let's go water these things. I've actually got a couple of things over there that I was going to show you as well. So let's go to the kitchen.
So one of the things that I was going to show you is my little Diddy Anthurium veitchii, which I haven't really been giving many updates on because it's had thrips and I thought it was thrip free. And I checked it this morning and I just wanted to show you because it has still got them, but they are so small. Is the camera going to focus? I don't know if you'll be able to see. They are so teeny weeny. Where my finger is just there, can you see? That is the sort of thing you need to be looking out for at this time of year because they, I've said it before, they spread like absolute wildfire. But they are so ridiculously easy to miss. So easy to miss. Like if you would just glance at the back of that leaf, you wouldn't think that there was anything there. So yeah, this one is still very much in isolation. I've got this one inside a plastic bag. I'm going to give it a wash down with horticultural soap. I'll probably just get it into the shower and spray it down, to be honest. It is, however, giving me a new little leaf, which is quite exciting. So yeah, hopefully that's a lovely leaf that isn't affected too badly by the thrips. But, oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to have a look into my prop box, non-prop box, the thing I've set up to be more low maintenance that I will show you. And I was going to check on my Monstera dubia because I chopped the top off my Monstera dubia in a Patreon video last week I think. I said it in my last video as well, but that Patreon video is available to all of you guys, not just paid members, because it's where I also unboxed my 100,000 subscriber plaque. So yeah, I will link that down below if you fancy watching that. But let me grab that box and I will show you what I mean. So this is what it is currently looking like. I can tell that bringing it over, I have accidentally knocked a few things over. Let me get in there and see how things are doing. So, in fact, let me take you off the tripod so I can actually get in there and show you properly. So yeah, it's just a massive transparent storage box, and I've got most things in here. Instead of like doing it like a normal prop box and having stuff rooting into moss just on the base, I've put them into individual containers just so that, as I say, if I want to take individual things out, then I can. I can see, oh, I've got a yellow leaf there on a Monstera, a variegated Monstera cutting that I put in there. That's not the end of the world, to be honest. But yeah, then I just put a little bit of water at the bottom on the base, so that it just kind of keeps humidity nice and high. And yeah, I've got lots of these boxes going at the moment, and they're all just plants that I don't want to care for a little while. I will do at some point. Some of them obviously are propagations. Others are ones that I will come back to. But yeah, for the time being, they are kind of self-sufficient. And the good thing is this hasn't yellowed and died off, because this is the one I was worried about. So let's take a look at this. So yeah, this one, when I chopped it off, firstly, just look at the size of that. Isn't that amazing? But when I chopped it, I really didn't want to let the bottom rot, because Monstera dubia can just be really, like, I don't know, it can just rot really easily. So I wrapped some cling film and moss around it and just left that bit to just kind of be open in the air. And to be honest, I was gonna say, like, maybe I'll change that. Maybe I will now get it all into moss, but it kind of does seem to be working this way. So maybe I'll leave it like this for another week or so and then check back. I really did think that maybe I was gonna, also, what is that? It's just water, it's fine. I really did think that maybe this leaf was gonna kind of yellow and die off very quickly, because again, it can be quite sensitive. But the good thing is the box is obviously keeping it happy. So I'm just literally putting it in that to just keep it a little bit upright. And then yeah, I will revisit even when I feel like it. And I was going to say as well, if not, I've got loads of stuff. Like, I've started so many of these boxes. I've got loads of stuff. At some point, if I want to take to plant swaps, I don't have to like think about chopping any of my plants if I don't want to. I will just have a load of rooted stuff. I can either pot it up and get a nice full plant for myself going, or, as I say, I can dip into one of my boxes. But I'm glad to see that everything in there so far is being kept happy. That makes me very happy. I've got a plant here that I actually can't remember if I've shown you or not. It's a jewel orchid and it is a Ladybird according to this pot. I'm not sure if it's correct. But I picked this up in a local garden centre for £6, which to be honest, I don't really know with jewel orchids. I don't know if that's a good price or not. But I just thought it was absolutely beautiful and it wasn't looking particularly happy when I got it. It's given me a couple of leaves in the time that I've had it, which has been about 6 weeks now, I think. It's obviously got a very bare stem here and I think it's really, really pretty. But if you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm just very accident prone when it comes to looking after jewel orchids. Like, I think they are beautiful. I've had, I think, 3 Makoda's Patola jewel orchids in my collection, which I think are just stunning. I haven't grown them as terrarium plants. I've just kept them usually in my cabinets. And I have knocked and broken literally every single one of them. So this one currently is on one of my shelves down there, staying well out of the way of me and Yoli's tail. But if any of you have any tips on it, I'd be really interested to know, because as I say, I don't have the best track record with jewel orchids. Also, do you think I should chop and propagate? I don't really know. I'm not sure, but I think it's lovely. And yeah, I feel very happy to have picked it up. Ooh, and also I've just noticed it's got some new growth coming down there. I've got a couple of leaves which are getting ready to unfurl, which is very exciting. But yeah, apart from that in here, you might have noticed I've had a little bit of a switch around. I've put my Philodendron Splendid there. I've put my big Monstera Deliciosa. It's actually not in the best position currently. It's over just there. And although it's getting better light in that position, it is actually just balanced on the corner of my desk. So it means when I'm working, I don't get much natural light. And obviously I would like to be getting a bit of sun. So I think, I don't know, I think maybe I should think about putting some more plants into the bedroom. I don't know. It's really difficult to know what to do, because at this time of year, obviously you want to make the most of the good weather, but also put things in positions where I'm going to want to care for them and I'm not going to forget about them. And I do very much forget about the bedroom plants because I don't see them that much. I kind of don't think of the bedroom as being a very proactive space. So for that reason, I have moved so many of my plants into this room to be with me here, and it just kind of works better. So I'm not quite sure. If any of you have good interior designy brains, let me know how you would shift up things in my space, or any ideas you've got, because you can get a bit stuck when you're in your own space sometimes, even if you come in with very good ideas. Like, I don't know, like before I moved in here, I had so many plans and so many things I wanted to do. And now that I've started living in this way, and I've been here for a year and a half now, I like thinking about putting my plants in different places or having a big shift up feels a bit weird, and I can't think of any other options. So yeah, ideas are always welcome. Oh, that's what I was going to tackle next. I see something fairly urgent. So we are back over by the table because I feel like I'm gonna have to do some major rehabbing here. But the urgent plant that needs attention is this one, and you cannot tell at the moment, but this is actually, very sadly, my anthurium magnificum. And this one, to be honest, hasn't been looking great for a while. When I first moved in here, it was giving me the most insane growth that an anthurium has ever given me. Like, my God, at one point it pushed out a leaf that was like that big. It was amazing. And it just, nothing's gone to plan with this plant. And I think initially it wasn't getting enough light through in the bedroom, but also, as I have just said about the bedroom, I was just falling a little bit behind. I wasn't as on top as I should have been or could have been with the plants through there. So this one I put into semi-hydro about maybe 5 or 6 months ago, and it gave me, it's a very, very hardy anthurium from my experience, and it did give me another leaf in the time that I've had it in semi-hydro, but both of the leaves were just a little bit warped. If you look at my houseplant tour video that I did recently, you'll be able to see like its newest leaf was just looking very weird and very misshapen. It wasn't very happy, and it's just so hard to keep on top of plants that are up that high on top of the fridge and I have to get a step ladder to get to them. Excuses today, I know, but basically I've just not been the best plant parent and I have not done the best for this plant. So last week I looked at it and I was like, okay, you know what? I want to reset with this plant. I want to start again. I want to re-fall in love with it and I want to set it up in a better way than I have currently done. So today, as you can see, I have chopped both of its leaves back. Today I'm going to get it out of semi-hydro. I did empty out its reservoir last week. This is why I said it was urgent, because really I should not have let the reservoir sit dry for this long. I have a feeling the roots might be very dry now. But I'm going to get it... Oh, there's the door. Bear with me. Oh, not for me. It's for the neighbours. What was I saying? Yeah, I'm going to get it out of semi-hydro. That's what I was saying. I did let the reservoir completely dry out with the plan of doing this last week, and I didn't get around to doing it. So, yeah, I'm going to just sweep up this stuff, and then we can take a look. I'm actually going to empty the semi-hydro that it's in into this bag, because then I can just sterilise it, boil it up, sterilise it, and use it again. Yeah, let's have a look and see what we're working with. Oh, okay. As I suspected, the roots are really dry. Oh, I mean, feeling them actually, okay. Feeling them, they're not as dry as they look, but they're pretty dry. So it's got an insane root system. But like I say, it's very, very dehydrated at the moment. I was gonna say maybe I'll have to give it a chop back, but actually even at the ends, and again, maybe the camera's not picking it up that well, but like I say, it's much more hydrated than it looks. I think that semi-hydro must have been holding a little bit of water at least. So what I think I'll probably do to start with is, do I go straight in and get this one into soil? Or do I start it out with moss? That's what I'm debating in my mind right now. You know what, I think I'm gonna take the plunge with this plant. I think I'm gonna just pot this up. I might reconsider if this was like, I don't know, the Anthurium regal or something like that. But like I've said, this is such a hardy anthurium. This one has just kept surviving. Like I have struggled with some anthuriums quite a lot, and this is one that I have probably given the least care to. And on the whole, it's remained, I was going to say pretty happy, happier than it should have done with the care that I've given it. So I think I'm going to go straight in with an anthurium mix. And when I say an anthurium mix, again, in fact, very similarly to what I did earlier, I'm just going to use a base mix. I've got some orchid bark, or some anthurium mix, in fact, just here. And then I'm going to mix through some moss and some tree fern fibre. And I feel like that is going to be good for this one. And you might be surprised that I'm switching it out of semi-hydro, but like I keep saying, I've done so much experimenting recently with anthuriums, and the thing that I have found for me in my environment and the way that I care for plants is working best is typically a very almost soilless but organic mix, like using, as I say, lots of orchid bark, tree fern fibre, some lacquer even, just lots of substance, and watering very regularly, which might seem counterintuitive, I know, because I'm saying that I'm finding plant care a bit overwhelming, but I don't know, like it's just working for me and it's what I want to do, so it's what I am doing. Oh wait, I'm allergic to throw half of this all over myself. Oh, and I'm getting it in my coffee as well. Damn it. And at the beginning of today, I kind of thought, oh, maybe I'll get into the cupboard of chaos, maybe I'll organise all of that, maybe I'll do all my plant chores and then tidy the flat, ambitiously I thought. I don't think I'm going to get around to doing all of that stuff today, but you know what? This in itself, considering where my headspace has been, it feels like a pretty good achievement. So something is always better than nothing. And the other thing I want to do with this is, as you can see, the main kind of chunk of it has got some insane aerial roots coming off it, and that's just been sat above the semi-hydro, so I'd really like to plant it a little bit deeper and then probably wrap some sphagnum moss around the top and try and activate some of them, kind of in the same way as I showed you earlier with my Anthurium pallidiflorum with the milkshake lid, because that just helps to seal in all the moisture, and it means that the plant should be able to grow much bigger, stronger, happier. And I know the potential of this plant and what it can do when I'm not caring for it particularly well. So when I start putting in even more groundwork, hopefully the plant is going to just flourish. God, look at my hands. Okay, so yeah, now I'm just gonna pop some sphagnum moss on that top layer. And in fact, I could even, oh, I'm gonna have to go wash my hands in a minute. That feels so horrible. Oh, it's making my mouth go funny. But yeah, I'm gonna potentially cover it in some cling film and probably move it closer to the window. As I say, I know this one sizes up really, really quickly, but there's no space to appreciate it in the spot that it's currently in. I'm finding it difficult to care for in the spot that it's currently in. I think I need to just make some space on my shelves, and maybe it can go there because it's so gorgeous. And I don't know if you ever get this, but sometimes I will have a plant that I love, that I love. Let me rephrase this. I'll have a plant that I feel very grateful to have, but I just know that I'm not loving it as much as someone else would be, or like if I was to look at it in someone else's collection, I would be jealous of that plant and annoyed that that person wasn't caring for it properly. I feel like I can do that sometimes. And this is one of them. This is one that I have not been appreciating in the way that I feel like I should have been. And I'm excited about it. So yeah, I'm gonna put that to one side, give it a water through, maybe cover it in some cling film, as I say, and I will hopefully be giving you an update on it soon, a positive update, because this one does kick into action pretty quickly. So yeah, I will let you know. And the next thing, oh, in fact, exciting update. The main section of my Hoya latifolia sarawak, obviously I chopped this plant very recently, and look what she's doing. She's putting out not just one new leaf, but 2 new leaves. And then there's potential for leaves here as well. I know I need to get this plant onto a trellis. I don't currently have a trellis for Hoyas. I keep saying that I need to get some or make some. I haven't done that yet. But yeah, I'm so happy that finally this plant is doing something, because my God, has it been a waiting game. And I was so scared when I chopped it, and this just makes me feel like it was the right decision. So yeah, that's making me very happy indeed. But the other thing that I chopped fairly recently was my Drimonia cherry begonia, and this is the one that I've shown you in lots of videos since the beginning of the year, because it has quickly become one of my favourite plants. It is one of the fastest plants to grow that I have ever owned. It's actually in the African violet family, and I've owned African violets before, and I don't particularly remember them being fast growing. Maybe that was just I wasn't as good with plants then. I don't know, or didn't have as good of an understanding of what they needed, I'm not sure. But yeah, this one was getting very big and very leggy and sizing up very quickly, but becoming quite top heavy. So I actually made a reel about this, but I decided to chop the plant back. Also, I'm sure I'm putting this dust all over my face. I decided to chop the plant back and propagate it. And the bottom section that I chopped, this is all of the new growth that has sprouted, I think literally in the last like 3 or 4 weeks, which is just insane. And I'm just looking at the roots at the top section that I propped in sphagnum moss. And I'm not sure how well you can tell, but that is rooted. That is seriously rooted. And the grand plan for this plant initially was to pot the sections up together and get a nice full one going. And that way, when I needed to chop and prop in the future, I could just essentially continue to fill this plant out and get it lovely and big and bushy. And so I'm thinking I might just have, oh my God, yeah, those roots are so good. So good. I was going to say just have a look at the roots of this one and see if maybe it's ready to just be squeezed in here. I don't want to disrupt the whole plant here. I don't want to take the whole thing out, but I'm thinking I can probably just dig a little hole and fit it in. Because yeah, again, just by grouping them together, it will mean that it's one less plant for me to take care of because I'm combining them. But it was, as I say, what I wanted to do initially anyway. So yeah, I did actually take a wet stick cutting of this plant as well, and I created a little prop box which I kept in my cabinet, and I just was not on top of keeping the moss hydrated. I didn't cover it, which is always a mistake. I often think to myself, oh no, it's fine, I will absolutely remember to keep that hydrated, and as soon as it's out of sight or as soon as another plant gets put in front of it and you forget about it for like a day too long, if it has got any roots in there, chances are they'll be small and spindly, they'll dry up very quickly. And that is just, I don't actually think it had any roots, but that's just what happened, and it rotted. So I very sadly lost that section, but luckily, obviously, it has propped beautifully the top section and the bottom section. And my God, is it quick to root as well? Like some plants, even certain types of epipremnum wouldn't be ready to be potted up yet. This one is just crazy. And I know at the last plant swap, someone said to me, they were like, I was hoping that you might have brought some cuttings of that with you. And I was like, oh God, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. But you know what? If it props so easily and it grows so quickly, I will absolutely be sharing this plant because it's such a lovely one. I can't believe more people don't own it, to be honest. Like I was going to say if I'd known about it sooner, I would have got it sooner. That's actually a complete lie. I can't remember if I actually said this in a video, or if it was a Patreon video, or what it was. But I basically, when I first got this plant, I was very kindly sent this, in fact, by one of you guys at the beginning of the year, along with a couple of other things. And out of, I think it was 3 in total, 3 things this lovely person sent me. Out of all of the things they sent me, I saw this and I was like, interesting. I was like that, I was intrigued by it, but I didn't think it was necessarily my type of plant. And in fact, I think I spoke to Emma and I was like, I feel like I'm gonna kill it. And I did such a 360 in such a short amount of time. I had it in my cabinet and I just noticed that like it was one of these things I was coming back to, and it was just giving me all of this new growth, and it was growing in such a cool way, and it was so unpredictable. And I just completely fell in love with it. And now it's one that I can't imagine not having in my collection, and I feel really seriously lucky to own. And this is the wonderful thing about the plant community, and it's the great thing about going to like plant swaps and events and stuff like that, is you do discover these plants that maybe like you might look at and you might think, nope, but actually the experience of growing them gives you something that other plants don't. Because when I first saw this one, I kind of thought like Aphelandra sclerosa, I think it's probably known as the zebra plant. That's the kind of vibe it gave me. And although I think the zebra plant is beautiful, it can be quite difficult and it can brown very easily. And to be honest, nowadays, I don't really have the time for that plant, to be honest. I had one over lockdown and it caused me lots of grief and I have never gone back. But yeah, I kind of just got similar vibes from this one. And I also read quite early on that it was related to the African violets, and I was like, I like African violets. Would I say I loved them? No. But it's just been completely unexpected. Completely unexpected. So yeah, it's probably, say, the best plants I've acquired this year. I know I've got like my palletiflorum and stuff like that. It's up there with, I haven't got that many new plants this year, actually. This is not to downplay how much I love this plant. It is, I would say it's up there in my top 3 of my favourite plants I've got this year. In fact, that's a lie. I would say it's on par with my palletiflorum, which is probably my top one this year. So yeah, it's really cool to get to grow this one, and I'm just so excited for what it does next. So yeah, the journey with this plant continues. Have any of you ever found that with a plant that you've kind of looked at initially and not thought it would be one that you'd enjoy growing, and then grown it and changed your mind? And if so, what plant? Because yeah, I think it's kind of like, not that I think you should get plants for the sake of it, or you should pick up plants that you're not drawn to, but I think sometimes it is quite fun to experiment with growing things that are a little bit unexpected and maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone. And you know what? I know I'm not a particularly colourful plant person, but the begonia, in fact I've got a cutting bit up there. Oh, the camera battery just died, so I thought I would actually get down the begonia I was talking about and show you. This is the one that I was talking about. It's the begonia breveremosa, I think. And this one was actually very kindly sent to Ross after the last London plant swap that we attended. And it's also in this little, oh my God, it's so delicate, I'm so scared to touch it. But Ross made and painted this octopus to go around this propagation jar, which I think is so pretty. You can't really see the detail that well, but I think it's absolutely amazing. He's so good at stuff like that. Yeah, but he's got the big section of the plant through in his office next door, and this is just a little cutting that we took that is, as I say, now rooting in water, and rooting really, really well actually. Probably, I would say, just about ready to be potted up. But this is a plant that for me is very much kind of outside of my comfort zone. Like, it's not one that I would typically go for. However, I think it is so gorgeous. If Ross was to say he didn't want it anymore, I would absolutely be like, I'll take it and I'll look after it. So I think I'm definitely coming around to it more. I just don't think I could ever have like loads of colourful plants, or if I did, I would need a designated space for them. Like, for example, I guess, I don't know, like the thing that sprung to mind was like a playroom. Like, I don't know if any of you had one or had friends that had one when you were little, like a space where like children go and all their games are and it's all like bright and exciting. I feel like I'd quite enjoy that. That would be cool. I think my brain would just get too overwhelmed and overstimulated if I had loads in the main space though. Which is weird because, as I say, I could have like thousands of green ones and I'd be fine, but just a couple of colourful ones and it would freak me out. It's strange how different people's brains work, isn't it? Maybe that should be the title of this video. Oh, and this is cool actually. It's rooted kind of in a similar way to how Hoyas can root sometimes. It's rooted from an internodal section, not from the actual node, just there on the stem. Can you see? Because typically roots will just grow from the node, which is the bump where the leaf meets the stem, or down the bottom there, which is where the old leaves met the stem. But yeah, it started rooting from points all up the stem, which is awesome. And it kind of implies that you might be able to propagate this plant just from like an internodal section and not necessarily even have to have a node. I'm not going to start experimenting with that yet unless I absolutely have to with this plant, but as I say, I know you can do that with Hoyas, so that would be really cool if you could do it with this kind of plant. You can't, like, looking at the main stem, it hasn't got any pronounced aerial roots or anything like that, so I'm kind of surprised that it has done that. Yeah, all down the bottom here as well, like all down there. So many points that it's rooting from. And yeah, this is a really insane root system. And trying to get all of the moss off it is proving to be quite difficult. just because of how thin and spindly it is, but I reckon that's probably enough. I reckon that will probably do. So yeah, I'm gonna just dig a little hole in here. The majority of the root system, from what I can see, is actually around this side. So I'm just gonna very gently make some space and then pop this one in with the other section. I don't think I've ever been able to do this so quickly with any other type of plants. Oops. Yeah, usually if I decide that I want to join two together or like fill out a pot, it takes so much longer. So I'm so happy that this has happened so fast. Amazing. So that is the start of my much fuller plant, which no doubt will just grow like a weed now. But yeah, I've just essentially cut my plant parenting task in half when it comes to looking at this plant, because I won't have to look after that anymore. I'll be able to just keep this in my cabinet, let it do its thing. It's so easy to care for, this one as well. Honestly, I cannot rave about this plant enough. I think it is just amazing. And then another one that I brought out of my cabinet to have a look at, I can't even remember the name of it. It's a peperomia, and I'll have to put the name on the screen. This is another one that I got this actually at the Bristol plant swap. And I say I got this at the Bristol plant swap. This is one that Ross literally dragged me over to someone's table to look at because he was absolutely obsessed with it. And I'm not gonna lie, I can absolutely see why. I think it is so cool. Like, if you look at its leaves, they are so like chunky and succulent, and like you really do feel like you could just pop them. And this is another one that I tried a couple of different ways propagating this one, because I have never ever propagated peperomia successfully in the way that I'm attempting to do here, just in moss. I've tried, for example, things like the peperomia hope. I have tried so many times doing it this way and not had a particularly high success rate. So yeah, I took some leaf cuttings and I chopped them in half. This is what I typically do for pretty much all types of peperomia in order to have a successful propagation rate. And again, similarly to what I was saying earlier, I did a little sphagnum moss propagation box, put it in my cabinet, didn't cover it in cling film. Yeah, literally the last plant I was talking about, same thing. And it dried up and they died. But even before it dried up, they weren't looking great. So the good news is this one, it not only lives on, but it has also started giving me some new growth. So I'm wondering what's going on in there. And I can't see anything in the cup as of yet, but I just wanted to take a very little peek just to make sure that there was no rotting. Just want to know what's happening. Ooh, 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 exciting. Oh my God, so cool. So it hasn't rooted from the nodes, but it's starting to root at the bottom there where I've taken the cut, which kind of makes sense with a peperomia. Like I say, I typically have been used to growing peperomia from leaf cuttings. The structure makes you think that if it was just kind of a bog standard plant like an aroid or something, it might root from here. But I guess it kind of does make sense that it's rooting from there. It is, however, not ready to be potted up yet, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to just put it back into sphagnum moss and keep it in my cabinet. But I'm really glad that it's doing something, because I just had this feeling that this plant was just going to rot away to nothing. We can come back to that one in a month or two and hopefully pot it up then and get a big one going, because oh my goodness, again, the person that gave Ross this one sent me a picture of the mother plant and it looks insane. It looks so cool, very unpredictable in its growth structure. And I like cool peperomias, and this is like about the right level of colour for me, I would say. It's got some kind of reddy burgundy-ness on the underside, but it's primarily green when you look at it from above. So I quite like this. I quite like this. But I also just thought of something else that I wanted to do, that while I'm here at the table, I may as well grab. And it is popped up this little begonia. And this is, again, another one that I got at, I think, the Bristol plant swap. And it's one that I haven't been able to get an accurate ID on. And I've asked you guys in a couple of videos, and someone said they thought it looked a little bit like a Thurstonii. And I've had a begonia Thurstonii before from quite a little thing, and it looked very different to that. The begonia Thurstonii it's kind of got like an iridescent red to it, and it's so pretty. But my Thurstonii before was never this lime green. So I'm still up for any theories. If you guys think you know what it is, let me know. I'll do some digging, because I'm not like, I don't usually grow begonia very much. I've got 2 different types of begonia in my collection at the moment, and I'm not amazing with them. But what I have noticed is that it's rooted very well, and since it's rooted, it has just kind of stopped growing. And it was giving me, when I first got it, I think I only had 1 leaf, and it was going quite steadily and giving me growth quite consistently, and it does just seem to have stopped, and I think probably it needs some nutrients. So I've actually got a teeny weeny little tower pot here. I think I'm just going to pop it into this, probably in the same mix that I've already got just here. I would have thought that would be absolutely fine for it. I'm actually wondering if I could go a bit bigger than that. I know it's quite a spindly root system, but I do know begonias are quite thirsty. Ooh, this is a leap. However, if I've got a lot of tree fern fibre in there, I'm wondering if I could go in with this. And I know you're probably thinking I'm mad, because this is a huge pot size to start with, but if I pot it a little bit further down than I would usually, and I use something that is very light and airy, I reckon it would be okay. And if for any reason it's not, I will take a cutting and start again. But I'm gonna take the leap, take the risk. I'm gonna do it. Why not? Because this is actually a begonia that, although it is still water cropping, I do think is lovely. And it's one that I'm quite excited to grow. And I've said it in videos a couple of times this year so far, actually, but there's a few begonias that I've got my eye on. There's a few that I quite like the look of. Now that I'm feeling a little bit more positive, I'm like, you know what would be a great way to not make plant care feel so overwhelming? Get some new plants. But no, that is addictive brain creeping in. Although I haven't bought plants in a while. I haven't bought plants in a while. In fact, like I said earlier, I haven't bought that many plants this year. For me, I think compared to last year, I've been quite good. I was actually thinking, any way to justify, but I was actually thinking as a pat on the back to myself, I could get myself some plants to celebrate hitting 100,000 subscribers. I've got one specifically that came to mind, which I have spoken about before, but not for a while. So maybe I'll get a couple more. Oh, I don't know. When I've been feeling consistently okay about the plants that I've got, again, for a while, I will maybe get some more. But, oh God, it's crazy, isn't it, how quickly, as a planty person, or just as someone with, I was going to say addictive tendencies, I absolutely do have them, but how you can just justify things. Like at the beginning of this video, I was really feeling overwhelmed and like I didn't even want to start with one plant, and now I'm talking about adding more to my collection. Oh God, there's just nothing beats getting a new plant, like ticking a wishlist plant off your list. That is just the best feeling in the world. And I really want to do it now. I'm going to be thinking about it. But I have potted up the little begonia, It looks adorable. As I say, I've potted it quite low down just so that that root system's not too overwhelmed. And then as the plant grows and matures, I can just continue to fill the soil up, or I can continue to pick it up and kind of move it up a little bit. And yeah, I've just been growing this. In fact, it was growing in front of my mother grow light when I first got it. And I've moved it to one of my window shelves now, and it seems okay, but as I say, not growing as quickly as I would like it to be growing, and I think that's because it's been in water. But if any of you have any tips for begonia, please let me know. I'd like to get better. I'd like to get some more, I think. So yeah, do let me know. And again, if you think you know what this one might be, or what it could be related to, or anything like that, please do let me know in the comments below. But I'm trying to think if there was anything else desperate that I wanted to get through today. Anything else that really, really is screaming out in need of doing. Or I can see something that I would like to finish with, something that is exciting. So another plant that I got at the Bristol plant swap is this one, the Syngonium chiapense, and oh my goodness, I got this one from Robin, and oh my god, Robin, I love it so much, and it's just given me that new leaf, which is so pretty. And I just would like to, I mean, I don't want to disrupt this one too soon, but I would just like to take a look at its root system, because I can see it's got an insane root just there. And I'm desperate to get this going as a big full plant. I'm desperate to pot it up. I obviously, again, don't want to rush it if it's not time. Oh, the moss is a little bit wetter than it should be. But I do just want to have a very gentle look and just see where it's at and see if it's ready to be potted yet. Because I feel like actually Syngonium chiapense, it's a wish list plant that I spoke a lot about before I owned it, and I haven't actually spoken that much about this one since I acquired it, and it's so gorgeous. I said it before, but it's almost like an anthurium meets a philodendron or something. It does not feel like a syngonium whatsoever, but it's just so cool, and it's one that I'm so happy to own. Oh, okay, so I think I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Yeah, just looking at it. It's rooting really well, and part of me really wants to pot it up, but also, like I just said, why rush the process? I want to get it right. I don't want this one to fail. Yeah, it's got some lovely roots, but it's not quite there yet, I wouldn't say. Which is okay, As I say, we are coming into growing season. I need to learn a little bit of patience, so I will pop it back. I'm actually going to squeeze this out a little bit because I say, my God, it is too damp. I will come back to this one in a month or so and we can pot it up then. I'm just so excited. 'Cause like, if I was going to say it doesn't feel like I've got this plant in my collection, it does. But I just know the potential of this one when it's like on a moss pole and when it's climbing, and I'm just wanting it to move at an unrealistic pace because I'm looking forward to growing it. But yeah, for the time being, I'm going to keep it back in my cabinet. It seems very happy in there. It's still giving me growth. This is the thing as well. It's not like it's in dormancy. It is putting out leaves. As I say, it's just giving me that one. So yeah, I will come back to this one at a later date. Oh, but I've actually got through quite a lot today. I'm looking here at like the Sansevieria moonshine and like everything that I've managed to get through, and this is so much more than I thought I was going to get through this morning. So thank you so much for doing stuff with me. Thank you for listening while I've rambled. Yeah, I really appreciate having the space to be able to obviously do plant stuff with you guys, but also be able to just chat about mental health, life stuff from time to time as and when it comes up, because it's really therapeutic for me. and I'm feeling a lot better. So if you were kind of challenging yourself to get on with whether it's planty stuff, whether it was household stuff, whatever it was, if you were trying to conquer some kind of battle and get stuff done along with this video, I really genuinely hope this has helped. I really hope you've got stuff done as well. I think maybe I need to do like a big reset video or something similarly to what I was doing at the beginning of the year, and kind of tackle things like the cupboard of chaos and the things that I don't want to do. If that would be useful for you guys as well, then let me know, because I will prioritise making that kind of content, because as I say, it is really fantastic for me as well. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.
Stay sexy, plant lovers.